أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وما أرسلنا في قرية من نبي إلا أخذنا أهلها بالبأساء والضراء لعلهم يضرعون. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that we did not send into any village any Nabi except we caught the people of that village with difficulties and with illnesses, so they may turn back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. ثم بدلنا مكان السيئة الحسنة حتى عفوا وقالوا قد مس آباءنا الضراء والسراء فأخذناهم بغتة وهم لا يشعرون. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, then we change onto the place of difficulties, we brought some goodness until they cross the line, they transgress, they overacted, and they said that our forefathers also, they had received these types of difficulties and they had received some ease and some happiness. When they started behaving like that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, suddenly we caught them in a manner that they were not expecting, they were not knowing, they were unaware. ولو أن أهل القرى آمنوا واتقوا لفتحنا عليهم بركات من السماء والأرض ولكن كذبوا فأخذناهم بما كانوا يكسبون. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said that if people of these localities, these villages, if they had brought iman and they had performed taqwa, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, we had opened unto them barakat, blessings from the sky and from the earth. وَلَكِنْ كَذَّبُوا فَأَخَذْنَاهُمْ بِمَا كَانُوا يَكْسِبُونَ. But instead of bringing iman and taqwa, they rejected Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's call. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said that we caught them with adhab because of their actions, because of their deeds. أَفَأَمِنَ أَهْلُ الْقُرَىٰ أَنْ يَأْتِيَهُمْ بَأْسُنَا بَيَاتًا وَهُمْ نَائِمُونَ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said that is people of villages, are they having contentment or are they having some sort of sense of safety that our adhab will not come to them during the night and they are sleeping? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said that people of villages, they are not realizing that our adhab can come during the night in a state that they are sleeping. Awa amina ahlul qura an ya'tiyahum ba'suna duhan wa hum yal'abun. Or they are not realizing that our adhab can come during the morning time and they are playing. Afa aminu makrallah فَلَا يَأْمَنُ مَكْرَ اللَّهِ إِلَّا الْقَوْمُ الْخَاسِرُونَ. Are they became very easy and very neglecting from the plans of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said that no one becomes careless from the plans of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala except those who are the losers. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us correct understanding of Quran and Sunnah of Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. This whole ruku, it's like a warning from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is the system of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That sometime Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala send difficulties onto the nations. So those difficulties may bring them back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Or if they are not realizing by difficulties, then it is the sunnah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bring ease, comfort, luxury. And when these luxuries comes, then sometime they became even more neglecting. They they forget that just now we were tasted by difficulties. And when they are drawn into that luxuries, sometimes they start over behaving. They said, so what? Good days and bad days used to come for our forefathers also. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, when they show this type of behavior, then suddenly we catch them. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had mentioned that, are they not aware that our adhab can come suddenly? And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, such thing can happen that they are sleeping and our adhab can catch them. Or such thing can happen that they are playing and our adhab can catch them. Do not neglect the plans of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us from negligence. In this whole ruku, they said that Anbiya, when it comes to messengers, from Adam alayhi salatu wasalam to Nuh alayhi salatu wasalam, only commandment came. Only commandment came. From Nuh alayhi salatu wasalam to Musa alayhi salatu wasalam, commandment came, and if they were not taking heeds, then they were just reminded by tongues only. By tongues also. Only. And from Musa alayhi salatu wasalam to Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam, the commandments also came through messengers, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's both system came into action. That reminders by tongue. And if you don't take heed, then sword will be taken against you, or punishment of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will come into action. So, 3 categories of Anbiya alayhi salatu wasalam. First category, only commandment. Second category, reminded only softly. And the third category, reminded both ways. Softly also, and by difficult ways also. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us such that we have whole humanity's history in front of us through Quran, through the system of Quran, through the teaching of Quran. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us rizq of Quran. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Ya awwal al-awwalin, ya akhir al-akhirin, ya rahim al-masakin, ya dhal quwwati al-matin, ya dhal manni fala yumannu alayk, ya dhal tawl, ya dhal jalali wal ikram. La ilaha illa ant. زهر اللاجئين وجار المستجيدين ومأمن الخائفين يا مأمن الخائفين إن كنت كتبتنا عندك في الكتاب أشقياء فامحو عنا اسم الشقاء فامحو عنا اسم الشقاء وإن كنت كتبتنا عندك في الكتاب مقطرا علينا أرزاقنا فامحو تقطير رزقنا وحرمان رزقنا واكتبنا وأثبتنا عندك سعداء ووفقنا الخير فإنك تقول في كتابك يمحو الله ما يشاء ويثبت وعنده الكتاب يمحو الله ما يشاء ويثبت وعنده الكتاب يا من عنده الكتاب. اللهم إنا نسألك فعل الخيرات وترك المنكرات وحب المساكين وأن تغفر لنا وترحمنا فإذا أردت بقوم فتنة فتوفنا غير مفتونين غير خزايا ولا ندامى ولا مفتونين. اللهم ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. اللهم نقنا من الذنوب كما ينقى الثوب الأبيض من الدنس. اللهم حاسبنا حسابا يسيرا. اللهم اجعل آخرتنا خيرا من الأولى. اللهم ألف بين قلوبنا وأصلح ذات بيننا وانصرنا على عدونا. اللهم انصر الإسلام والمسلمين. اللهم حرر المسلمين المظلومين في فلسطين وفي غزة العزة. اللهم حرر المسجد الأقصى. اللهم كن لهم ولا تكن عليهم. اللهم كن لهم ولا تكن عليهم. اللهم كن لهم ولا تكن عليهم. اللهم ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم. وصلى الله تعالى على خير خلقه سيدنا وحبيبنا مولانا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين برحمته.